Hi all, welcome to your new module. This is AOLE 2 part 2. Really excited with this module. We've worked a lot. This is a newly validated module. We've tried to encourage the use of schools, practical sessions, and you guys going out onto placement. So I think you're really going to enjoy this. Okay, let's dive into this then. This is a short presentation about what this is, a bit of a module overview, and some assessment guidance for Port 1. There's 2 assessment points, and we'll get into these when we go into it, but just be aware there's 2 assessment points for this module. Okay, so in this session, it's going to be quite informal. I'm just going to be going through some of the expectations of Port 1, giving an overview and a flavour of what to expect on this module. Okay, so the whole point of this module is areas of learning and experience to part 2. So obviously it's linked to the areas of learning and experience. As you can see here, I can't go through all the areas of learning and experience. There is a part 1. We've had to mix things around just because of timetable. So part 2 is before part 1. So I'll be going through some of the aspects of areas of learning and experience, and then Dylan's going to go through some of the other aspects. So I'm going to be looking through and identifying some of the key concepts linked to cross-curricular learning, to collaboration, and these are all linked to my specialisms and what I research myself, so health and well-being, also looking at collaboration and talk as well. Okay, another really big part of this module and what we're really passionate about and what's been led by student voice, so graduates that have finished have said they wanted somewhere in the module where there was a focus on what your future could be if you use this degree. So within this module, you've got the space, you've got the induction week, and you've also got quite a lot of time in the week to start to think about your future on the course, but also your future outside when you've worn that hat and thrown it in the air and you've graduated. So what I want you to do within this time is to talk to me, to talk to your personal tutor, to talk to the careers, talk to the support network at the university. You've got an amazing support network, use it within this module. So start to think about your dissertation topics. Start to think about, is PGCE for you? How are you going to start your application? Because your application process will start. Do you want to travel? Do you want to work within education? Do you want to work with children? You are obviously going to go out into placement. You're going to see what life is like as a teacher. You might experience that and think, oh, that is not for me. Maybe you were dead set, this is teaching's for you. Maybe from the placement, you might think, oh, that is not for me. Okay, so use this space, use this time. You're not going to have it again. Use the time to think about what could you do with your future. So if you go onto the placement page, there's lots of different videos, guidance, booklets. You know, I introduce you to the careers team, book a meeting with me, you know, all these things. Your PGCE, you're probably thinking, Nick, why are we talking about PGCE? Your application process really starts today because you should start to think about your teaching CV. You're going to apply in September. So you've only got September to write your personal statement, to update your CV. You're guaranteed an interview on the PGCE. You're not guaranteed a place, and it is really, really competitive, especially with the situation we're in at the moment. So, you know, one of the main things that they look for, obviously, a number of staff teaching the PGCE as well. We're on the interview panel, and we're always urging our students to just celebrate all that we do on the course. You need to show and demonstrate experience of working with children and working in schools. So it's great you've got the placement, but also think about going above and beyond. Could you do volunteering? Could you earn any digital skills? Could you know, what are you doing that's making you stand out from the person next to you? So start to think about those things. Okay, so as I mentioned, this is a focus on the 6 areas of learning, obviously linked to curriculum reform in Wales. We're going to be looking at and focusing on health and well-being. We're going to be looking at humanities. We're also going to be looking at science, technology, and a little bit of languages, literacy and communication when we link with our school in Rwanda, which is super exciting. Okay. We are going to be working with primary schools as part of the module. So really, really important that you I'm trying to do the multitasking, I'm trying to get rid of those things there. I can't do that very well. Working with primary schools as part of the module is a key element of this module. And again, working with student voice, students wanted to work more with primary schools, so they had that experience for their PGCE interviews. So please come to the sessions. We're linking with a number of primary schools. The children are really excited to be working with you. They'll be there in the sessions. Please come to the sessions. You're only in for 1 day a week. So please make sure attendance is hugely important. And the things we'll be doing in those sessions, you're going to be creating some work for them. They're going to actually do that work. If you don't do that, you're not going to be able to write anything in your blog. So really, really important you prioritize. I know a number of you are working at home. You still need to come to university on the Tuesdays. That's so important. Please make sure you do that. Okay, you've also got a placement in a primary school. I've done a separate recorded lecture all about the expectations. I've interviewed a head teacher, so you get a flavour of what is expected of you on your placement. But really, really exciting. You're going to be in a placement. You're going to be supporting the classroom almost as a teaching assistant. So take the initiative there. Smile. Be a support. It is an observational placement, but you should be there to support as well. That's here. So obviously you've got your lectures, your seminars, reading and resources, assessment. This is something that may be new to you. This is the placement page. Click on there. There's loads of stuff on there. You need to watch all the content. You need to engage all of the content for this module. Everything is outlined there. Okay, so there's a recorded lecture. There's the placement workflow, which you have to do and have to be signed off to go on placement. If you don't have that signed off, you can't go out on placement. You won't be covered for health and safety to go out on placement. It's a tri-party agreement between you, the school, and the university. That must be done. You need to do your risk assessment as well, because again, the schools will not accept you if you don't. Any questions, there's a Q&A forum there, or just send me an email. Placement timesheets. You need to keep a track of all your hours. You need to upload these, which are signed by your mentor, by your class teacher usually, or the head, or whoever you've organised to be your mentor. You need to then upload that with your pro forma document. I'll show you in a minute what I mean about that. Then I've got guidance here. So our graduates have, these are two graduates who are now teachers in schools. They did the primary ed studies a few years ago, and they went out on placement, and they're giving you some brilliant advice in their own words, things like what to wear, what to do, how to act. A bit more of a different guidance that I can provide. They've obviously just been through it. There's also a really useful, definitely watch this, really useful guidance from a head teacher and what she expects you guys to be doing when you're out on placement. Hopefully you found a placement, but if you haven't, there's a finding a placement video there. These are all quite short. The other element is obviously the PGCE application. So make sure if you are thinking about doing your PGCE or you're not quite sure, watch these things. There's a year 3, Amber, done a brilliant video there about how she applied, what the application process involves. There is the heads of PGCE, which are there. They talk about what you should include in your application. And if you're unsure about entry requirements, we've got Cam, who's one of the IT leads in communication and recruitment, and he talks to you about what the expectations are there. There's a really good video by John, who heads up the careers service about routes into teaching. You may not want to do PGCE, there's other stuff. So just have a look through this. You know, you should be engaging with this stuff. If you haven't met with Mel, Mel is the saviour. Mel is brilliant. Book a one-to-one meeting with her. She can talk to you about all things careers. If you're unsure of what you want to do, go meet with Mel. She's brilliant. You may be thinking about PGCE is not for me. What else can you do? She can tell you about what our other graduates have done. There's also, and I definitely recommend this because you've got your dissertation next year, academic skills. Now, it can be one of those things you think is a bit of a snore fest, but it's not. It's so important, and it can definitely, those that have done these courses, short courses, have improved their grades, especially at dissertation level. So there's a sign up there to the free workshops that are on coming up over the next few weeks. Sign up to some academic skills sessions. Improve your writing. Definitely make use of that. Okay. So as you can see, week by week. Okay. So it is a return of the blog. I hear you all go, yay! Maybe not. Okay. We are doing blogs again. The reason that we're doing blogs, I'm just fast forwarding to, I mean, one of the main reasons that we're doing blogs is blogging is becoming a really, really important aspect of being a teacher. Welsh Government have just invested into Hub, they've bought into Adobe Spark, which you guys will be using. Most teachers now have their own classroom blogs. A lot of teachers I know now, they have their own blogs, whether it be Twitter or they're actually using Adobe Spark and sharing best practice. So it's really good practice, a really good skill that we want to develop with you. Some of you really got into this last year. Those that were in year 2 last year, that maybe didn't like blogs that much, by the end of this, they did really enjoy because they could pursue what they wanted to do and they could include multimedia. So it's a little bit different to an essay. Obviously, we stepped up now, so we're level 5. You've probably seen that from other assessments. We're no longer level 4, where we maybe have let you get away with a lot of things. In level 5, obviously, we're expecting a bit more. So if you click on this link, I'm not going to go through this now. There is guidance on assessment. So if you come down to, so there are expectations of level 4. And obviously you'll see as you come to expectations level 5, they're different. So really, really important you start to think about, right, if I want a first, I need to make sure I demonstrate detailed knowledge. I need to make sure I have the ability to communicate information, show arguments, can analyze in a coherent and succinct manner. So have a look through this document. It's super, super helpful. Okay, so that is on the link. Okay. Also look at your feedback from blogs last year. Some of the blogs last year were amazing. They're absolutely brilliant. Some of you had some, well, all of you had strengths, but there were things you quite commonly had that needed to be developed. So things like, you know, starting to think about using multiple authors, starting to read more widely, start to use academic sources, to be more critical. They're the common things we want to see now at level 5. So make sure you engage with your previous assessments. If you've just done an assessment, which I'm sure you just have, look at what the feedback is there and help that to inform this blog writing. So as you can see here, Port 1, it's a blog. It's the same as last year in that it's going to be done on Adobe Spark. That's 80% weighting, 3,000 words equivalent. So again, we're expecting that equivalent. It could be around 2,500 and you could have videos, pictures, sound files. You could go over, you could go under. We're not too worried about that. We want you to follow your own interest and we want you to make sure that you put multimedia in there. WRIT 1, I go through in this in much more detail in a separate recorded lecture, because this is going to be new, is a reflection on your placement. So it's 1,000 words, it's not much, it's very structured, so it's pretty much going to be what you'll see now. It's not that bad. Okay, and then obviously you're going to get your marks within 20 days as usual. So WRIT 1 is a written reflection on your placement, if you want to read through there. So there are 2 ports for the assessment. Make sure you use them both. Although you're going to be doing WRIT 1 on the blog, you still need to do 2 pro formas. It's a university thing. We have to follow it. Okay, so this is classified as a separate assessment. You'll use a separate pro forma document, same deadline. Expectations of this assessment are outlined on the recorded lecture, which is in the placement page. It's also on the assessment page as well, so there's no excuse, engage with them. So you can see here, I go through it in the recorded lecture, I'm not going to go through it now. There are 6 sections, which will total 1,000 words. You can follow that link and that is the lecture, that's the recorded lecture that is there. You could only do this after you've done your placement. So you need to think about a description of your feelings before, description of your feelings afterwards, evaluation, analysis of what happened, what did you see, what were the areas of learning and experience that you saw, what key concepts did you see, what was your conclusion, and then what is your action plan. So do you want to be a teacher? Do you want to do a PGC? Have you been completely put off? Again, we're looking for you to reflect here on this. And whatever job you get into, reflection plays a really, really important part. So that's WRIT 1. Okay, Port 1. This is the focus for this lecture. Okay, so it's a 3,000 word academic blog. It's going to be done on Adobe Spark. Adobe Spark, as I mentioned, is being bought by to be used on Hub. If you're going to be teaching in Wales, you will be using Adobe for sure. So if you can demonstrate and develop skills with this, it's going to be really useful, especially when you start to go for interviews. Okay. So the assessment criteria is different to last year. So this is it. So the assessment criteria, this is quite similar to what your dissertation will look like, your dissertation marking criteria, in that it's a matrix. This is a matrix here. So the people that will be marking it will be looking through your blog and thinking about, well, this aspect, knowledge and understanding, was definitely a first, but their research and scholarship was maybe somewhere here, but their structured argument was maybe somewhere here, and then their use of audio multimedia was somewhere here, and then we work out a grade based on the matrix, which is here. So we just quickly look through. You can look through in your own time. Definitely look at this, print this out, tattoo it on your leg, whatever. Make sure this helps you to write your blog. You need to demonstrate knowledge and understanding of concepts and issues related to AOLE. So think about, if we're looking at health and well-being, science and technology, humanities, you need to engage with the key concepts from the lectures and wider reading. So you need to make sure that goes in there. You need to, it's level 5 now, there's no excuse. You have to read, guys. You have to make sure that you are engaging with scholarship, you are researching things. You are not just reading from the reading list, you need to read outside of that. So I've suggested books to you. Look at their reference list, look at their reading lists. Use my quotes for all, definitely from the lectures, but then look at their reference list. Read wider, that's where you'll get more marks. We expect a bit more level 5 in that you can critically evaluate things. I'm going to talk about that in a second. So make sure you're questioning things. You're providing a balance. You're not just showing one side. And again, it's a blog. I wish I had this when I was in uni. I was never a big fan of essays. They're a really integral part of your university experience, but you don't have that for here. It's 30%. You know, we're going to be making and working with a lot of digital resources. Put them in your blog. Get in the habit of taking pictures in the sessions. Get in the habit of making videos. Get in the habit of doing, I don't know, a slow-mo video, whatever. Just get in the habit of using multimedia because you'll be doing it as a teacher. We're trying to set you up for that classroom. So make sure you're starting to think about using apps, hyperlinks, sound files, images. The more that you can demonstrate that's relevant, the more marks you're going to get. If you just highlight text and you just put in text, you could fail that section. So you should be getting 30 marks for this. With the amount of work we're making, you should be getting 30 marks. Okay. Think about as well, this is still a blog, so write it like an essay. You can write in the first person, that's absolutely fine. But academic tone is hugely important. Really, really important. Not, yo, Nick, what's up? Write a blog. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay. So using writing control, correct grammar. Think about the structure of your blogs. An introduction, main body, conclusion. Do the paragraphs link? Are the paragraphs just one random one and another one? Where's your linking sentences? So start to think about, you know, the flow of your blogs is really, really important. And again, I can help you within the sessions to do that. The marking criteria for WRIT 1 is here as well. So this is all available via that link. And again, it's on the assessment page as well. All right. So as I said, look at your feedback from last year, look at your AOLE blogs, think about what you did well, what could you improve on. Also think about the assessment you've had, the feedback you've had from your assessments for level 5. They're obviously a bit different. So You have these suggested blog titles to write about. You can choose as many as you want. You could do all of these, you could do one of these, you could do two of these. I don't mind. We're trying to get you to think about following your own interest. So you've got 3,000 words to work with. So you've got how can cross-curricular approaches be used in primary education? How can science and technology activities? You can read through these in your own time. You could use these, or you could start to think about what are you interested in. Maybe you're already starting to think about your dissertation topics. If they link to the areas of learning and experience, by all means, you could do a blog post about it. I would suggest that you stick to these topics just because there's loads of reading. The module's geared up to that. But speak to me, have a chat to me if you're unsure. But these are the suggested blog titles. We did something similar last year, although we've changed the course slightly, and all of the students quite enjoyed doing these blog tasks. I'm not saying they got out of bed going, yes, blogs, but they did enjoy some of the aspects of these. Okay, so make sure there's a reference list under each blog, same as last year, and make sure you're going to back up your blog. So again, follow your own interests. Some of you will be interested in the collaboration aspect. Some of you will be interested in the cross-curricular nature. Some of you will be interested in health and well-being, and that's so broad. You could follow all these different things. Science and technology is hugely broad. That could be digital, for example. So although it sounds like you're being quite confined with only looking at half the areas of learning and experience, they're really broad subjects. So you can look to explore quite a lot, and you could almost cheat the system in that you're going to be doing loads of reading for this, which will help you for your dissertation. Or you've already been doing loads of dissertation reading, use this in your blog. Don't obviously plagiarize, but you've done the reading, you've got that core foundational knowledge. Use that to write some interesting blog posts. Really, really important. And again, people last year used this module to help them to decide on what they want to do for their dissertation. Okay, level 5 now, really important that you start to think about how you're going to find these sources. So you need to support all of your work, all of the things that you put in your blog. You need to think about how you're going to support what you're saying. Probably bored you with this before, but when I was in university, my lecturer would say to me, yes, include your opinions, Nick, but are you a published author? And I'd hang my head and say, no, I am not. He said, well, use published authors. They're out there. They've been peer reviewed. They have gone through that peer review process. They've been published. Use them to support your ideas, but also question them as well. Just because they've been published doesn't mean you can't question them. Myself, Dylan, Kieran, people that teach you, we have published journals, we have published work, writing that's out there. You question us all the time. So don't be afraid to question authors within your work. We encourage that, okay? So think about in lectures, you can use, I would start with lectures, with the seminars. We're going to give you quotes, we're going to give you ideas. Don't just copy and paste those. The ones that are going to get first are the ones that use those, but then look to their reference list, that read wider, that start to think about, oh, that person saying the same as this person, and you try to synthesize ideas. That's what we're looking for. So there's a recommended reading tasks. I encourage that you do that. That's going to help you to write these. There's a module reading list. There's a Met search. I'd meet with the academic librarians. If you haven't done this already, I'm amazed. Librarians always say to me that no one meets them until level 6 when their dissertation's there. So you could say you're doing something on health and well-being. Go meet the academic librarian. You can book a meeting, you can book an online meeting, they can help you do your searches. Also use reading from other modules as well. That's absolutely fine. Okay, we're looking for you in level 5 to be more critical. So that means, doesn't mean you have to be negative. It means you need to start to think about reading carefully through people's ideas. So it's not that you just accept things, you question things. So for example, you might find a study that tells you that in education, people, if you encourage the use of left hands, I'm not saying that this is a published thing, then that will improve their work. Well, you might look a bit deeper at their methods, and you might think that within their study, they've only actually done this with 3 adults, and they haven't gone to a wider populace of candidates. They were adults, they weren't children. This was done in America. Maybe the study was funded by Coca-Cola to sell more Coca-Cola. I don't know. Look, the whole point of this is you're starting to think about evaluating these ideas. So you're reading a bit narrower, and you're really starting to think about, can you question the claims that some of these studies are making within the journal articles? So start to think about, for me, critical writing is about balance, providing a balance. So, for example, you might find a journal article that promotes one thing. You need to provide that balance to say, well, that's all very well. Maybe yoga is really good within schools, but, and then start the question. That's what critical evaluation is about. Okay, so how do you develop your critical writing? It's a move in a way, as you see here, from description. So within your blogs, we don't want you just to describe what we did with children within the seminars. You need to start to think about, well, why did we do it? So, for example, with yoga with children, why are we doing yoga with children? How does this link to theory? How does this link to authentic learning? How does this link to cross-curricular learning? How does it link to the curriculum? How does it link to curriculum expectations? So it's that move away from description. So you need to back up what you're saying with evidence. So you need to think about, well, you're saying one thing, support it. You need to show analysis of the situation. So maybe you bring in some other ideas. Maybe you support it with some different views. You might find someone who says it's something different to you. Bring that in as well. You need to question the findings in more detail, as I've said, and you need to make the argument stronger, again, by providing that balance. Okay, there's some really good links there from Westminster and Leeds universities of how you can improve your critical writing. The book, Cite Them Right, they also do a really good book on how to improve your critical writing. Again, it's one of those things that it just takes a bit of time. I would use level 5 to develop your critical writing because we're going to really expect it for your dissertations in level 6. So start to think about getting out of your comfort zone, providing that balance and starting to question authors. Okay, and again, this is the ultimate cheat sheet for critical writing. Again, this might be useful to you. You could use the who, what, where, when, how. So a quick look through that. This presentation is going to be available on Moodle, so you can look through this in your own time. The biggest advice is read. Guys, you have, for this module, your own in university one morning or afternoon. You should be using the time to read. I've probably bored you again with this analogy before, but university used to be a demonstration of how much you've read. So at the end of university, it was many years ago, you just have to show in a thesis how much you've read. And that hasn't really changed. So make sure you are reading. Now, you don't have to read everything in full. It might be a journal article that you find and you skim read through things, and then you might find different sections. You might find different things within a book chapter. It's just about reading, and that's why this module is, I think, different to maybe some of the other modules in that you can follow your interest. You could hopefully be interested in what you're researching or writing about. So it's not such a chore to be reading or doing some reading about something that you're sort of interested in. Okay, so you're going to be doing your blogs on Adobe Spark. It's changed names recently. It's called Adobe Creative Cloud Express, formerly Adobe Spark. So you click on there. Okay, you're going to sign in. You're going to use the same sign-ins as you used last year. I've already signed in. Now, I use this a lot. I use this just in my personal life as well as my professional life as well. So there's loads of stuff there, Instagram story, Instagram posts. You can up your social media game so much with this. As you all cringe as I say that. But there is all these different things there. You can make GIFs, you can resize videos, you can make videos. I recently made a video for our graduation for year 3, put on loads of pictures on there, Instagram stories, Instagram posts, backgrounds. You could start to make as well. You could use these they're all saved as GIFs or PDFs. You could make, so for example, this one here, you could make introduction to my AOLE blog, save that, and then upload it to your blog post. Again, the more things like that, posters is absolutely brilliant. You could have, maybe you're writing a blog post about nature and health and well-being. You could use that poster, and that is the start of your blog for that blog post, and you're gonna get marks for it. So the more multimedia you can use, the better. Okay, I'm sure you remember doing this, but you click on the left-hand side. There's all these different things that you can do. We're using the web page. So you click on the web page. Remember this? Okay, so we're going to put on there AOLE 2. Nothing worse than someone watching you type AOLE 2 part 2. My name, Nick. Okay, and then you come down and there's all these different things. So you've got text, you've got buttons to add in links, you could add in videos. Again, you remember all those things. Okay, what's different is there's these different themes you could have. Oh, look at that, nice. Okay, and then don't forget at the end, you have to publish and share the link. We won't be chasing you, it's level 5 now. Publish and share, and then you're going to upload that to your pro forma. Okay, hugely, hugely important. So you've got there, Welsh Government's invested in Adobe Spark, children are using it. It's going to really upgrade your digital skills as well, so embrace it, use it. Okay. I've got if you forget all the things of how to set it up, there's a bit of a guide there. There's also a guide on YouTube I've made. So if you forget any of this, look at that. What's different this year is last year, I know a number of schools that lost work. So you have to do this. So please make sure that you back up your work. So what we have suggested on the pro forma document, you put all the text on there and you upload that, and then you copy and paste it to your blog, which is here. Okay, I'll say that again because it's so important. You need to back up your work. The university policy is if you lose any work due to technical fault, you will unfortunately just fail. But you need to, I'm telling you now, you have to back up your work. So do it on Word. I know for some of you, you'll be groaning into, oh, this is additional work. The additional work is probably worth it. If you lost your work, I would go crazy. Think of all 3,000 words and all the multimedia making. Just do it for yourself. Just put it, it's not that hard. People did it last year. Do it on Word and then copy and paste it over. I appreciate that it is additional work to do, but your future self will love you for it. Because if you lost anything, at least you've got a copy on Word. So if you want to put in your links, your pages, your multimedia, that'd be great. Hopefully, touch wood, I've never had any work lost before, and none of my classes have, none of my students have, but I know schools that have recently. There was an upgrade to this Adobe Creative Cloud. Some stuff was lost. So just don't be that person. There's no excuse. So make sure you back it up. Okay. So again, advice there of how to set up your blog. There are examples of Adobe Spark posts from last year. They are on reading and resources. So as you can see here, so it just gives you an idea. So you can see here, this is the first nothing like hearing your own voice. So you can see that all ideas have been supported by academic sources. They're clearly structured. So you can pause the video, you can read what's been written, but this just gives you a bit of a flavour of what they've done. So there's 14 minutes there. There's loads of examples of blogs from last year. So have a look through that. You could even mute it. You don't have to listen to me. But they all got firsts. So you can see, well, what did they do? So you can see already there's really good synthesis of ideas. They've engaged with relevant authors. Have a look through that. Okay. All right. So it's one continuous blog. Please don't make 3 or 4 different blogs. Don't do that. I'm telling you now, one continuous blog. You have a blog post, say it's about health and well-being. Underneath will be your reference list. Then you go on to your next blog post, which maybe is science technology. Then you have a reference list. At the bottom, you'll have WRIT 1, which is your reflection on the placement. That goes at the bottom of your blog, 1,000 words. Okay. So the exemplars are on Reading and Resources on Moodle. You can follow this link as well. Multimedia. Oh, guys, you get 30 marks for this. You should all be getting 30 marks for this. So that's videos, apps, sound files. I've said it before. I'll say it again. You should be getting 30 marks for this, surely. You know, by engaging with this, you're going to be developing digital skills, which is good for PGCE. Even if you don't want to do PGCE, I'm sure whatever job you do will involve digital skills. Even if you work in Lidl, they pay quite well. So think about, you know, including these things within your blog. You should be saying to me, Nick, why aren't I getting 30 marks for this? I know that the groups I got for year 2, you're more than capable. The stuff that you made for Childhood Ed last year, brilliant. Okay, how to upload your blog assessment. So the first thing you need to do is to go onto the assessment tab, which is on Moodle. You will be filling out you're laughing at my tabs. You will fill out a pro forma document for both assessments. Okay, so you put your student name for port 1, student number, blog posts. You have to put your blog post URL. If we can't find it, we won't have access. You won't get marked. You need to put your written reflection, which is here. So 3 things you've done well, 3 things you can improve on. And then underneath here, you will include your blog. This is your blog assessment, and then you'll copy and paste it into your Adobe Spark. Okay. And then you will upload this to Moodle, which I'll show you, which is here. Assessment and feedback. Click on that. So everything you need to do, everything you need for the assessments is here. And then there's a Welsh medium assessment portal and there's an English medium assessment portal. So one for port 1, one for WRIT 1. There you go. Okay. There's a pro forma document. I've shown you how to publish. Okay, if you've got any questions, there is an assessment forum. Ask me in the sessions. Please ask in the sessions. Nothing worse than just sending an anonymous email or sending me an email. I'd much prefer you put it on the assessment forum so everyone else can benefit from my answer, or just ask in the seminars. You know me well enough now. Just ask in the seminar. If anything's not clear, ask in the seminar and I can tell the whole group the answer. Okay, a little bit on your placement. There's a whole different recorded module on this, so I'm going to go through this quite quickly. 24 hours, non-scheduled. This is a minimum. You have to, within this month on this placement, you have to earn 24 hours. So you've got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday each week to earn 24 hours. You can definitely earn more than 24 hours. You will need to make sure you do a timesheet. That is on the placement page. Print that off. Get your mentor to sign that. Okay, you have to have your workflow completed by the placement team. You have to do that. That's a university policy, especially with COVID, especially with the public health situation we're going through, and just to make sure you're safe. So you have to make sure you've gone through this risk assessment. You have to make sure that the employers, the school, are happy with it as well. And then you need to make sure you do that preparing for your placement e-module. So make sure you do that. Okay. So there is further guidance about this on the placement page. There's also further guidance on WRIT 1. There's also expectations of what you should do on placement, how you should act, where you should be, what time, what you should do if you're ill, all those different things. Watch on the placement module. That is an overview. If you have any questions, please get in touch. As I said, I am super excited for this module. Hopefully you're sort of excited. I will see you from the first teaching week back. Make sure you engage with that placement module. See you all very soon. Toodaloo.